What is going on, everybody? Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikase Sukasen. Of course, as always, I'm your humble host, Niko House. Today, I have with me a very special guest and actually a frequenter of the MCSC network. And he is also, I guess, his part-time job is actually a running back for the LA Chargers. I don't know if I knew that. He's also a part-time NFL player. But as of last year,
busy part-time job.
But for his last year, it seemed like he'd been playing full-time activist. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to reintroduce Justin Jackson. How you doing, Justin, man? Thanks for coming back on the show.
What's up, Niko? Hey, appreciate you having me on, man.
No
Crazy
problem.
Day, huh? We didn't know the day was going to end up being like this, but.
Bruh, I thought the craziest thing that was going to happen was, honestly, just this last weekend. I thought like, oh, okay, this is crazy, but a lot of drama this weekend, which we'll get into a little bit. But this shit, I thought it was gonna be like maybe 10,000 people out there, bro. Like, cause they were ramping up. I was just out in DC, and they were ramping up for it. Yeah, they weren't ready for this. They weren't ready for this. Nah. So,
not at all.
Really quick, I want people don't know, like, we were your first political interview, man. People keep asking me, like, man, how come you ain't never had Justin Jackson on? I was like
it's been a while. I think this is the third or fourth time.
Fourth time, I think. Yeah, fourth time. Man.
Yeah.
And funny enough, for those, because it's like this weird thing where everybody with blue checks is on, they kind of on notice right now. So let me go ahead and clear some things up, y'all. Justin has probably been the most consistent person on the blue check left. Just consistent beyond belief. Not only consistent, but he's been understanding. He's been patient. He's been as patient as most people can be with his platform, trying to bridge gaps. But Justin has been on the same wave from the beginning, and it's very rare to see somebody like that with the type of platform you've amassed for yourself thus far. So, I appreciate that. And I'm sure that a lot of the progressive or populist left, I should say, at this point, appreciates it as well. So before we get into the deep politics stuff, man, you had actually a big weekend this weekend. This is your first weekend back on the field. I just wanted to ask you, man, how did it feel to be back out there?
It felt really good because this year's been a lot of ups and downs. But just being able to finish the year out strong, going into off season and knowing I came off a really solid game, that helps me and my mentals, and a lot of sports people don't realize is about just mental toughness, mental fortitude, and just going through adversity. And that's what this year was for me. But I'm glad, man, it finished on a really good note. And hopefully I take that in the next year.
So it's funny that you say, especially in the NFL. And I think even as a running back, it's one of those things where you can kind of pick the ball up where you left off, so to speak, as a running back. But I think that the biggest part about it is like worrying that you're going to re-injure the same thing. And so like mentally, I know it's big that you just got to kind of, and you're in the console, you shrug a couple people off, so you hit your little, how was that, 46 yards or something like that? How long was that run?
Oh, should have been 47. Oh, we were right there. It's all good. Oh, good, man. I got to the half-yard line. I'm like.
I know you was gassed. You had to go back to that sideline for a bit. You ain't ran like that in a hot minute.
Right, exactly. That conditioning goes quick, man. It goes quick.
But look, I'm happy that you're back on the field. I'm happy, like I said, I know that part-time job means a lot to you. But on the full-time side of the fence,
right?
You've had it seems like because of the injury, it's almost like this weird. I mean, it sucks to get injured, but you've had a lot of free time while you're doing your rehab to see some things happening in this politics, this political environment that we're currently in.
Yeah.
So, forced to vote, man.
Forced to vote.
What happened, bro? You caused a lot of drama, man. Everybody keep blaming Jimmy. Everybody keep blaming Jimmy. I can tell you, which ain't Jimmy's fault. It's Justin's fault, man. What y'all talking about?
Right. No, it is weird. It's weird that, it obviously had a lot of traction. A lot of people were, talking about it online and stuff. But once again, AOC just really wanted to respond to me, which, I'm glad, because I'm glad this conversation was had. And if I can be the conduit to that, then I'm glad for that to be my role. But I just did not expect all this madness to come out of that. But I don't regret it, though, not at all, because, I think that force the vote was the right thing to do. And if you didn't want to force the vote on Medicare for all, well, shoot, you should have been talking about forcing the vote on something else, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. This is the first time we actually had some type of institutional power and people are just saying, no, sit back and let the politicians do what we put them there to do. What?
Yeah.
When has
Wait,
that
just wait,
ever
Justin.
worked?
Just wait.
Just wait till another time. When we're not in a pandemic, sports are going on, concerts are going on, everything else is going on in America, and it's just back to how it was
You know,
every single year we've been trying to get people to pay attention.
you know what's
This
scary
is the
about
time to
this?
do something.
You know what's scary about that, bro? So this is the part nobody talked about yet, because I mean, people really like kind of like don't make these connections because they don't want to really realize how fucked up shit is. But you know, Ossoff and the Reverend won yesterday in Georgia. If you're actual leftist and actually been paying attention to what's going on, nobody gives a shit. But the important part, like we don't give a shit. Like y'all like, okay, that's cool, I guess. And then you really see these progressives that were hating on Forrest the vote celebrating. Yeah, we got to send it back. Oh my God, yes. Like, no.
It's just so naive. Like, are we gonna act like Joe Manchin doesn't exist and Tim Kaine and
you know it ain't no damn it's not naivete. It's not. They're not naive. They know exactly what they're doing. They're grifting. They've exposed themselves as like Democratic Party loyalists that were hiding behind Bernie's brand to build themselves up and make a nice little business out of themselves. But with as far as and unfortunately, it seems like AOC is not exempt from that. And right now, we know that the Senate and the House are now Democrat. Justin, did you know? I don't know how much you were paying attention. I think that was a Sunday when that whole thing went down. Actually, I think it was the same weekend you had that run. Same day you had that run. It was so there ended up being 53 total abstentions, and either a present vote or two people I think voted for one. So one voted for Debbie Dinkle, and two of them voted for Hakeem Jeffries, which was weird. And some corporate Democrats voted for McCarthy. So because of the abstentions in the first round of voting, do you know who won? It was actually McCarthy.
I didn't know that. He had, how many did he have? Like 209 or something like that?
Yeah. And because of the abstentions, the threshold lowers every single.
Right. It lowers. Right.
So of course, that was nobody, even myself, I ain't gonna lie, I was not predicting that to happen. I thought that there was going to be a bunch of maybe 6 or 7 abstentions. Wasn't predicting corporate Democrats to flip on Pelosi, and I wasn't predicting that many abstentions just in general. But then, of course, the threat of McCarthy, kind of like, oh no, we can't do this. Now on the other side of that fence, okay, cool. Corporate Democrats going to do what corporate Democrats do. But AOC, who initially abstained, Cori Bush, who initially abstained, Barbara Lee, who initially abstained, and I feel like I'm missing one. No, I guess that's it.
I think that was it.
Yeah. So,
well, the funny thing about that is they were telling us that we shouldn't do force the vote because of McCarthy.
So
but then they abstained, which helped lower the threshold instead of just voting for someone else, which would have kept the threshold in the same place.
I don't think everybody had the same. I think everybody had different reasons they was abstaining, and they didn't communicate before that happened. So they were like, "Oh shit, hold up, y'all was abstaining too. We were just going to abstain. We thought it was going to be like 3 people." So they end up. Your camera went out for a second, bro.
Sorry. Yeah, I was getting a call.
I mean, everybody ain't as popular as you. I feel you. But what's funny is, so it ended up, the threshold ends up being 214 because there are about still 3 or 4 abstentions. So you trying to tell me this is the most power that progressives had in the history of progressivism? You could have stopped Nancy Pelosi from being the speaker in a House majority, a Senate majority, and a blue White House in the middle of a pandemic. And all you had to do is say, hey, we'll give you our votes. Just make sure that Medicare for all gets taken to a floor vote, and make sure you negotiate with Chuck Schumer to do the same thing. Because if you're not going to give us that, you're not going to give us you damn sure not going to give us literally anything else. So there's no point. There's no difference between you and McCarthy at this point. Y'all both warmongers. Y'all both going to give people shit for COVID relief. You're not going to do anything else. So give us this one thing. We had all of the power you could possibly want in that moment, especially knowing that they took the Senate too. And they squandered it. And then people still came out and defended them.
Yep. And guess what's going to happen? Just like what happened today, just like something's going to happen in 4 or 5 days, a news cycle just keeps going on and everyone just forgets. And that's what with force the vote we were trying to to tell them is like, when you have the opportunity to do something like this, you need to capitalize, because the news cycle will eventually just keep going. But you need that to bake into the people's minds who see it, so that next time our message is being put out there and they see MSNBC say, no, this can't happen, or blah, 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 you'd be like, they can finally have something in their brain to be like, wait, no, that's bullshit. Because at the end of the day, we need to get liberals who love Nancy Pelosi and who love Kamala Harris and who love these centrist Democrats. We need to get them to realize, no, you're being bullshitted, right? Like, if you're actually trying to grow a coalition, they're more focused on changing Republican minds than they are changing people who are way closer to them on the, the ideological spectrum.
And not even really changing Republican minds. Just like, look. Really, neoliberals and Republicans don't really have any differences in our opinion. We just, we're just a little bit more black people on this side. But we're all fascists, basically. We're at least fascist sympathizers. They're all going to vote for war. Yeah, let's talk about this Jacob Blake situation. Unfortunately, Jacob Blake's shooters will not be brought to justice, as everybody expected. So here's what I expected, but a lot of people did not expect. See, whenever the verdict for Breonna Taylor was initially brought out, it was exactly what we were expecting. Once again, everybody was in the streets. Kamala was tweeting, Biden was tweeting, all the Democrats were tweeting, BLM was fundraising, Antifa or whatever the hell this new group wants to call itself was out there. Oh man, this isn't about this is about justice. Right. This man's paralyzed from the waist down after cops shot him 7 times. Bro, he's not even trending today. He wasn't trending this morning. He trended for a couple of hours last night. Biden, not a single tweet. Kamala, not a single tweet. Who runs Kenosha? Mayor, Democrat. DA, Democrat. Attorney General, Democrat. Governor of Wisconsin, Democrat. But I'm supposed to cheer because John Ossoff won in the
right.
Take the Senate.
It's, man, when you put it like that, it hurts, man. Bro, it hurts because when is it? It's not going to change. If the BLM protests and all that energy and all those people, what did we get out of that? Nothing. We got what? BLM, Black Lives Matter Plaza in DC, a street. The funny thing is, if you go into any of these cities where there's predominantly black people and you see a Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, that's probably the most rundown street in the entire damn community. So you're putting Martin Luther King Jr., who, who's part of the Poor People's Campaign and who talked about how, corporatism and all this stuff and moderate Democrats were going to be actually a bigger barrier to progress than the KKK, right? Mm-hmm. He talked about all this stuff, and then you're gonna like disrespect his name by putting his name on a street sign on the most rundown city where you've stripped out all the resources and all the wealth from that community and you've segregated it and you've made it what it is today. That's the same thing with Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter Plaza, and we're taking down some statues and all this stuff, but we're not going to give you shit economically to pull you out of the place that you and generations past have been in since the beginning of this country. Yep. And that is America. Yeah, that's America. And that's neoliberalism as well.
So obviously BLM originally, the idea came from the challenging of police brutality against black people and just in general, really. But what they got for that is the man who wrote the bill, and empowered the cops that Trump now uses on Black Lives Matter. That's what we got. And the party who voted on it to pass it. And Biden has literally he's refused. In fact, whenever it gets brought up, he says, black people wanted it too. What you talking about? They got their activists of all the leading organizations around the country yelled at by Joe Biden on camera. That's what they got, bro.
Gut-wrenching. That was gut-wrenching.
I don't understand. Why are you upset? Why do you call Biden a civility fascist? Because once again, like Biden was there when Standing Rock happened. That was under his administration. Ferguson, where these protesters are kidnapped or are dead, they're either missing or dead. Like there's like 10 of them, and no one talks about that. Like Obama and Biden militarized those police. You know what I'm saying? Like, this shit happened under Biden, and a lot of it is happening because Biden enabled these Republican governors. He enabled these white supremacists. He enabled these corrupt court systems. He enabled the private prison system. He enabled these damn detention centers. Oh, by the way, he already reneged on that. He already came out and said, well, I'm actually not going to change Trump's immigration policies right now. Why? Because they were the ones who introduced them.
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of people, at least who are on Twitter, saw this video, but when that one Hispanic organizer, activist, questioned Biden at one of his campaign gatherings, he said, can you promise right now you have the power, if you become elected, to end all deportations? And you know what Joe Biden said to that? You should vote for Trump. You should vote for Trump.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
What?
You don't like
what? Like, are we surprised that he's doing what he's doing right now? No. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. These things were happening before the election.
Hey, and it's funny because Charlemagne, for anybody else, any other circumstance, that's donkey of the day as soon as you leave the goddamn show. Where you might not be able to make it out of the studio before you donkey of the day. Oh, well, nah, I'm signing CAA. You know, I'm not trying to mess up my star, my brand. I don't want to mess up my appearances, because that's the same one who was kissing Kamala's ass the entire election, even though he had to roast her at one point and still was pretending like she was good for this country. Why are we surprised that our leaders, quote unquote, keep giving us crumbs, keep screwing this country over, when the people with the platforms keep enabling them and then keep placating their bases and not educating them people? Because the thing is, the time to stop Biden and Donald Trump was 6 years ago in 2015. Mm-hmm. And then Bernie, I saw him blaming Trump for this shit out here. I'm like, Bernie, I want to hear that shit from you, bro. Because if you would have fought as hard for us as we did for Trump, you, he wouldn't be fucking president right now.
Trump wouldn't have happened.
The DNC came out and admitted. Tom Perez himself, yeah, we cheated, man. That's our bad. We shouldn't have did that. You got cheated.
They argued in court. They didn't have to go by the will of the voters.
And now you got people storming the fucking building. You got, like, what did you think was going to happen when you didn't give them no money? You spit in their face really with this bill that you just tried to pass. Then y'all try to turn around and pretend like, hey, y'all, oh, no, just kidding. That wasn't our day. We won 2000 the entire time. Then you make them close their businesses, but you don't take care of them or their families. You offer these corporations grants. You offer the small businesses loans based off their credit that they accrued that got affected by the pandemic. So now I can't even afford the goddamn loan. Like, what did you think was going to happen? Today was an inevitability. It isn't a surprise.
This is what people fail to realize about moments like this, right? Is that both parties enable this to happen, right? Yes, Trump can speak to, their preconceived fears and fear monger and all this type of stuff, because yes, a lot of these white people come from places they have never maybe even met black people. So they obviously get propagandized by the media. But if you have a neoliberal establishment and a Democratic Party that enables the complete corporate capture of our entire system, of every sector, you set the table for these people to be poor and desperate enough to listen to somebody like Trump.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You have to understand that it goes hand in hand. And so if you're just going to come out here and yell about Trump, guess what? In 4 years or in 8 years, it won't be Trump. It'll be Josh Hawley, or it'll be one of these other people who
just got caught lying.
And guess what? They're not going to shoot themselves in the foot before breakfast every single day. They're going to be able to connive and go behind doors. and like these people are actually really dangerous, because they're going to be those same people that were fine being a Bush Republican, even when he was doing all those horrible things, but turned against Trump because he said mean things and, we didn't like him in the elite circles. They're going to go right back to supporting those same people if they're nice, if they're like Mike Pence and they speak nice and they seem very organized and, with themselves and have everything behind them. Mm-hmm. So this is what you're enabling to happen in the future. And so something like this today won't be an anomaly.
See, and this is, apparently somebody in the chat just said that Trump got his Twitter account banned on, what?
Did he actually?
Bro, and it's right, apparently it was right after he tweeted that the protesters need to engage peacefully and stop being violent. What? Hold up, so y'all want them to be violent? I'm confused. What is no? Listen,
Wow.
y'all know how I feel about Trump. You can't ban the president's Twitter account. You can't do that. Like y'all already say he can't block nobody because it's accounts of public interest. And
They
but
deplatform the president.
Bro, they just deplatform the president though. There's no scenario where that's okay. This man Biden
literally the corporate
said,
state.
This is the same dude. This is the
president.
same Biden, bro, who said, y'all know I got an award from Nelson Mandela, you know what I'm saying, from my work in the apartheid, you know what I'm saying? Like, and this motherfucker still got an account, bro. Was straight up
He was marching. He said he was marching in civil rights.
Yeah. Said it was marching civil rights movement. Yeah, bro. Yes. But he gets to keep his account. Wow. CNN, who gaslighted over Russia. Don't want to talk about a coup, man. Like, we didn't just witness a coup for the last 3 years, or a coup attempt. We didn't just see one.
Mm-hmm.
Because what was that Russiagate bullshit? Mm-hmm. What was it? Like, y'all had no proof of any of this, and y'all pushed it. Right. And then with the Peter Strzok and Lisa Page text message from the FBI agents, they were like, yeah, we hate Trump, man. Can't wait to get that motherfucker out. And then Andrew McCabe, yeah, I'm going to take all this Clinton money for my wife who's running in Virginia and then be in charge of the Russiagate investigation. Like, come on, bro. That's what we just saw. Like, all this shit, the Democrats have been just as guilty of, if not more guilty of. Like, even when they try to impeach Trump, like Biden was guilty of everything that they were claiming Trump had been. Mm-hmm. Bro, the damn video is right there. Yeah, man. I told him I wasn't gonna give him $1 billion if he kept investigating my son, if he didn't fire that prosecutor. Guess what? He fired him. Mm-hmm. I did that. It was me. Guess what? Give my props. Yeah, but what Trump
it's just
did.
Out in the open, and they're brazen about it. The corruption.
Oh man, it's crazy.
And I mean that's been around way before Trump. People just are paying attention now because they don't like the way he talks.
Mm-hmm. Because he's inconvenient.
You know,
he's
yep. And he makes too many people pay attention.
Yeah, that part.
And that's really what it is. He makes people pay way too much attention, which is really why I think the Republicans had a tough task to trying to, they were trying to walk along the fence because on the one hand, they want Trump gone, because it'll be easier for them to do everything they want to do without Trump and people paying attention. But they also know that he galvanized such a base. I mean, he got the most votes ever by a Republican president, right? So
yeah, and he increased.
There's a lot of people that still support him.
He increased his vote tally amongst every demographic except for white men.
Mm-hmm.
Which I honestly didn't even see that one coming, to be frank.
Me neither.
I just wasn't ready for it, bro. So I wasn't all that surprised because I could sense, like, being on the ground and talking to different voters, I could sense the anger that Black voters and Latino voters had. Like, I can't believe y'all.
Oh yeah,
gaslight us for the last year over how much we hate racists. We don't like racists. And he gonna throw Joe Biden in my motherfucking face, bro. You gonna throw Joe Biden in my face? Oh, and then because I don't know if you noticed, but after they realized, shit, Kamala ain't there, so we're gonna have to go ahead and get Biden in there. All of a sudden, well, yeah, Trump's racist, but it's more important because he's a fascist. So actually, the racism, that was important, but now we're not worried about that because Biden racist too. So he's a fascist. That's the new thing now. He's a fascist. Yeah, but like also Biden literally used his executive office to keep cancer drugs, to keep countries from lowering the price on cancer drugs after his son died of cancer. That's what he did. Oof. And Oof. If you ask me by any metric, that is indeed fascism. Because he did it on behalf of fascism is basically authoritarianism mixed with corporatocracy. And that's basically it. And they use fear to push these policies through. And if that's not corporatocracy, fascism, you're doing this on behalf of the pharmaceutical industry. You're using your leverage as an authority figure in the world in world politics to do the shit. What is that then? If that's not fascism, what is?
I'm with you, and that's why earlier I was saying I think people underestimate how important not only the authoritarian, like you said, side of it is, but it is the corporatocracy. And I mean, yes, the Republicans are obviously, they really are. I mean, they are the party of big business, right? But the thing that is so frustrating, I think, that most people don't know is that the Democrats are just as bad. It's like really just different industries. You know what I mean? The Democrats are big with the big pharma, right? Mm-hmm. And then the healthcare insurers and everything. that's who they mostly represent. And then you got obviously the Republicans mostly representing, the defense contractors and NRA and stuff like that. But I mean, they're two sides of the same coin. And and this is why I was imploring progressives in Congress that they need to start making a stark contrast between themselves and the corporatists in the party. They're not your friends.
Yeah,
like,
so
you need
far,
to
like
fight these people too.
2021, bro. It didn't look like there's any difference at this point.
Oh, it's
frustrating, man. It's a pattern I think that we're seeing even in media, because and we've talked about this a lot in the past, actually. Like, there has always been this weird, like, borderline. A lot of, well, I didn't think it was borderline. I thought I was full on, but it took a while because people were trying to be patient. People were trying to pay attention and see, like, okay, maybe I just disagree with this person. And I agree, I like this person better, but, I'll watch them because I don't want to cancel them because I disagree with them. Because people thought that there were honest disagreements. And like you said, that forced the vote shit, that really, really exposed a lot of people. In ways I just didn't. I thought, I won't say I didn't expect it, but I just didn't expect it would be this stupid to fall into such an obvious trap. Like, it wasn't supposed to be a trap. We thought it was pretty obvious.
Right.
Like, we thought that at the bare minimum, we would all agree on this. You know what I'm saying? We might disagree on personalities, politicians, etc. But I thought that the one thing that's supposed to unite us was universal health care.
Yeah. And to see, in the beginning, I was so encouraged, right? Because obviously it was Jimmy's idea and he pushed it out there first. And then it got, taken on by a lot of other people, myself, Breon Joy Gray, yourself, Cornell West. Man. I mean, just a lot, a lot of people, right? And even, and to my surprise, even Sam Cedar, right? Even Jank, who in the beginning, Jank and Jimmy had, even before all this, had a lot of tussles here and there, but they signed on to it, and I was like, this is it. This is something that it's a great idea. It has people coming together. Even people that were fighting before are coming together around this. We're gonna push this onto the squad. We're gonna get a big win. This is gonna be a big boon for progressives. All these things, like, this is what was going through my mind.
Yeah.
And then to see people turn a week to 2 weeks later.
It was your fault. It was your fault, Justin. The moment you tagged AOC, because they were with it when he was with Mike, talking about Mike Pokin, and then you exposed AOC, because AOC, she can't avoid what she can't stand when a leftist celebrity don't like her. She can't stand it, Justin. And she didn't know that you and, I don't say y'all close friends, but y'all close enough that it just took like a phone call, and you was like on Jimmy's show like 5 minutes later, like, oh, damn. I can't believe she did that shit. I can't believe it. She was not expecting that. That's the only reason she responded to you. Like, to be frank, bro, like, she thought you were a dumbass football player. Like, real talk. That's what it was. I'm being real.
I don't think she was ready for the. She wasn't. Look, she wasn't ready for me to come back at her. I thought, and this was happening in the moment. I tweeted it. I didn't expect anything. 7 minutes later, I see AOC responded. I'm like, oh shit, like this.
You just got.
And real. She responded instead of I figured. I didn't think she was going to respond, period. But then when she responded with the $15 minimum wage BS, I'm like, whoa. This don't smell right. Like, something's going on here. And so I responded, but I was respectful about it.
You were.
And I know a lot of people don't like Jimmy's style, whatever. Look, I was respectful about it. I'm genuinely trying to push this idea on them, so that they would do it, so that we could come together around this. I'm saying we're going to support you in this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bro, I would have done my ass right up on AOC. If you want us to storm, I would have stormed Congress if AOC and Bernie would have called for Medicare for all. I would have put all that other shit in the past. I would have been right there, bro. I would have been right there with my MAGA people. I would have been right. Me and the MAGAs would have been, hey, man, I don't know what y'all fighting for. We getting some health care. We're going to get some for y'all, too. Y'all going to get some election integrity for us? All right, man. We just going to party together today then. Like, because, we would have had to use them to storm Capitol Hill, because we would be shot. We ain't getting in this Capitol Hill like that.
No, yeah, we're not getting close to those steps.
We ain't getting close. We're not getting to the steps.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We're not breaking down the windows on the side. The cops aren't taking selfies with us inside. That's not happening.
It's not happening. But I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I want to go back to this because of this, this crazy shit, it seemed like while Jimmy and the majority of us on this side were talking about Medicare for all, and every time they try to bring it back to Jimmy, we're like, "Yo, it's not about Jimmy. Why are you Medicare for all?"
Not about Jimmy.
But Jimmy's so angry. Jimmy's so mean. They was like, Jimmy, but yeah, but it's not about Jimmy. We don't really. I mean, yeah, we love Jimmy. Jimmy's cool, but like, it's not about Jimmy. It's about Medicare for all. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
If I could just butt in for 1 second,
Please
because
go ahead.
I've been, on obviously lefty Twitter and everything, but I'm relatively new to this. Like, I know there's people been fighting this fight since Obama years, before Obama years, the 90s. So relatively, I am new on the scene, and I thought what made us, better than others being on the left is that we put our egos aside in order to fight for people who don't have a voice. And to me, this whole thing kind of showed that that's not a unifying cry of the left. People will let their egos and their interactions, their one-on-one personal conflicts and interactions, they'll let that flip something in their mind from supporting a good idea to shitting on that same idea and getting everyone that listens to them to shit on it, making it toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And then therefore allowing AOC and others to just dismiss it and still feel like they have the support of their base.
So I would present this to you. I would present this theory to you, because I think it's time to admit that actually what they're upset at is the fact that we actually were asking them to fight. Like we were saying, we are actually all down to fight for this. We're down to put our money where our mouth is. We're down to meet in DC. Mm-hmm. We're down to fight this fight and hold these politicians accountable. Yeah, we may have supported them, but like that's just dead. Like there's not another election for 2 years. They already got their offices. We already see who the president is. So okay, now it's time to fight. Oh, so let's go.
That's what they said, right? That's what they said.
Cool. That's fine. We can smash that shit. Let's go knock stuff down together and get some healthcare. Well, hold up. See, now if we actually get healthcare, then I can't hide behind that anymore. And I got healthcare, so I don't need that. If we hold them accountable, well, then I have to start talking about policy, and I have to be consistent in holding everybody accountable. So I can't make money if I do that, because these people I've built, it's artists I built my base around. It's strictly on personality. Don't know really shit about policy unless I'm lying about somebody else's policy to uplift the guy that made me a lot of money. So how about this? How about fuck you? Fuck the fight. They're trying to give me the fight because I got money to make. I got an audience to grift off of, and it's been doing me pretty well. And the reason that you see, Mickey literally tweeted out, bro, that Jimmy was funded by Steve Bannon.
Yeah, that's insane.
Or Jake saying that Jimmy's lying on him, and I'm like, bro, especially after that last one. That last video, you can't say shit about Jimmy lying on you. Them receipts it looked like he was about to go into Walmart and exchange everything in his store about all the receipts that Jimmy Dore had.
I got okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say which video? Which specific video are you talking about?
There was the
one Jank did. You talking about the one that Jimmy did.
Going in on them on Julian Assange, showing the receipts from their video. Then the airport thing, that was wild. And then the guy who literally had to file with the Department of Labor. Yeah. Because Jake wouldn't do anything about the racism within TYT, and this guy actually isn't the first one. Everybody talks about how racist and sexist TYT is, and is anybody surprised by that? No, not really. And the dude was like, when he said this was a black guy, young guy, when he went up to Jank said, my last boss would have fired me if I asked him or brought something like this to him. And then eventually they did fire the guy.
Mm-mm.
This is. I mean, this dude filed a complaint with the Department of Labor. This ain't on the bullshit. So now you're thinking like, hold up. So once again, it goes back to this idea that no, y'all just disagreeing. Y'all divide the left. So now you got to think, okay, who's actually trying to divide the left? There is a contingency of quote unquote progressive or independent media that is trying to actively divide the left. But that's actually the side that is always gaslighted and said that we were trying to divide the left, because we were constantly calling for unity around policy, unity around fighting the establishment and these institutions that prop up organizations like that. But like last I checked, I don't got no deal with YouTube or Facebook. Like neither does Jimmy. And whenever my videos or another video gets done, my shit flips to TYT, just like it'll flip to any other MSN mainstream media outlet. Because on that autoplay shit that I'm sure you've noticed it too.
I've noticed it.
You're working for the very tech companies that are in the middle of a lawsuit right now for being monopolies by 48 states and the Department of Justice. So you're trying to tell me that you're not on their team. You're not here to split us up, because Jimmy's my homie. Like I can't even like that's my guy, but it's not because necessarily he like likes all the policies that I like, because we don't have to like everything for him to be my friend. It's right. Because I know Jimmy gave up a lot of opportunity time and time again. Because I'm like, oh damn, why didn't you do that, bro? He's like, I'm not about to mess with them. They don't want no change. I don't need them. I'll figure it out. I don't want any change, bro. I'm like, for real? Things that people would never know about Jimmy. The stuff that he's done, not only for the movement, but for TYT, the times that he's literally saved them from fucking embarrassment. And I'm supposed to believe he's the one trying to split up the left. It's starting to reveal itself, bro. That's all. That's basically what's happening.
It's this whole experience has been very illuminating for me. I think I've seen other people talk about it, but you know how sometimes you don't really understand something until you experience it, or have a kind of experience yourself with it. And obviously me being in the middle of all this stuff, because I'm tagged in everything, because AOC responds to me, so I'm tagged in literally everything.
You would think you had a damn show by now.
I know. I'm like, damn. So I'm tagged in everything. So I'm seeing all this and just seeing. To me, the biggest thing that I guess surprised me and even hurt me a little bit and made me feel a little ashamed to be on the left for a second, until I realized that this whole broad left that I thought existed maybe doesn't, was that people seemed like they weren't acting with any urgency. Mm-hmm. And I felt like, Jimmy and other people, saying, everyone who doesn't support this doesn't have healthcare. Okay, if we're talking in straight numbers, okay, of course that's not wholly true. But if you're not fighting like every single one of those 68,000 people who die every single year really matters, and their life matters, and we're trying to do something now to prevent that from happening again in the future, then you might as well be acting like you got healthcare and you don't really care about this. You know what I mean? Because there's urgency to do this now. Let's stop acting like this is 1985 or 1993. Yep. Like, do you see what's happening to the fabric of our society? It's crumbling.
We've been told that you had to give these pharmaceutical companies billions of dollars for them to fast track a vaccine that I ain't taking it. I don't know if you're going to take it. You might say, I ain't taking a damn thing.
We might shoot. I don't know what the NFL is going to make us. Or I don't know what's going to
look, man. I feel like you're good enough that you might be able to figure some shit out, man. Y'all got some privilege when you put some numbers up on the board. So I don't know. Y'all got to get a winning record next year before you can decide and make those decisions for yourself. But see, now you get to be like, true. When I was on the field, man, we had a pretty damn good record when I was playing. That's all I'm saying. But in all seriousness, the urgency that they create around the vaccine, like even the ones who literally told us we got to wait for healthcare. But hey, if you want to put this vaccine that we just gave $32 billion to pharmaceutical companies to make, well, can you do that for us? Because you'll die if you don't do it, huh? And you'll kill everybody in your family if you don't get it. Well, also everybody in my family will die if they don't have healthcare. Yeah, that's different though.
Right. That's different. We don't care about. And I know Brianna Joy Gray, she brings it up a lot, but the most time she got the most hate on Twitter was because she tweeted at Kamala Harris saying, she quote tweeted Kamala saying, everything with COVID should be free, healthcare wise. And she's like, okay, what's the difference between having COVID and having diabetes or having cancer?
I remember
why shouldn't that be free for them as well? Why just COVID? And it's true. And we all know that on the left, right?
Yeah.
So why do we not have more of an urgency to be fighting this? Why are we shying away from any fight against Nancy Pelosi? We should be fighting her at every moment.
Yeah,
we can.
There's zero reason to not. Like literally, I asked Ilana Mara. She said something about like, oh, we got to get. No, it was Cenk. It was Cenk. He tweeted out something about law. Now we couldn't have handed it to McCarthy. I said, oh damn, that's crazy. And so like, what is the difference? Is the difference so great between Nancy Pelosi and McCarthy that it was worth sacrificing their integrity to vote for this woman who is refusing to introduce Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic? What's the worst that he gonna do? Refuse to vote for Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic?
Right.
He won't actually, you know what? He won't be able to get shit done because it would be a Democratic House representative. That's the other part nobody wants to talk about. Even if he was Speaker of the House, what the fuck would he have gotten done? Nothing.
Right. He can't get any legislation passed because they don't have a majority.
We gave up the most leverage we've ever had as progressives in this country.
And I don't think people realize how much power progressives Okay, first off, do they even talk to each other? Do
Shit,
they
don't seem
are
like it.
they planning on voting as a block or not? Why do they act like they're just all their own single persons? Like y'all know if y'all came together and voted
Except for
together all the
AOC.
time?
She'll attach herself to anybody. It's funny, you see that she posted that picture that day they all got sworn in. Her ass is right there, huddled up and cuddled up next to Cori Bush, the same Cori Bush she refused to endorse.
I ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. I
Mm.
didn't know that.
It's what makes it worse is she endorsed her the first time and refused to endorse or mention her name the second time.
2 years ago? She endorsed her 2 years ago?
The first time Cori Bush ran, yep.
And then didn't endorse her this time.
And didn't endorse her the second time. Didn't even say her
Well,
name, bro.
here's the funny thing about that is she did endorse I think was it Cisneros who went against Cuellar, right?
Yeah, but I don't believe that Jacob Cisneros was actually a progressive. I think she was a fake progressive. That's why
Okay.
people were pissed
Well,
because at the same time she endorsed
I did
Cisneros, she did not endorse. She didn't endorse Paula Jean either, even though she
right.
endorsed her
Okay.
the first time.
Okay. I don't know too much about Cisneros, but the main point that I was trying to make is that she you either like AOC, you need to either not endorse anyone or endorse everyone you want to because if you do anything in the middle, you're gonna get the ire as if you endorsed every single person you wanted to. You saw when it came to that committee seat, Cuellar was like, "Well, I'm taking into account who endorsed people that were going against incumbents." Like you can't have this 1 foot in, 1 foot out fighting type. You can't
Yeah,
do that. You need to fight them or don't. Be progressive. Do what you campaigned on or don't. This middle ground is not going to get you anywhere.
I keep seeing everybody who keeps fighting, they seem to get at least a little bit more than what we get. They get what they want, but like, I wish I could remember the name of the lady who she was like, yeah, Nancy Pelosi can kiss my ass. I ain't voting for her. Guess what she got? The very next damn Congress session. She got the exact committee seat that she wanted.
Right?
Coincidentally enough, also
Mm-hmm.
the same committee seat that AOC wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
what did AOC do?
Because they knew that she wasn't a sure vote. She showed
Yeah,
that she wasn't going to vote 2 years ago.
and it mattered clearly. It mattered. It ended up mattering because I think at some point Nancy Pelosi even knew that there may have been an attempted coup there was possibly going to be an attempted coup within the Democratic Party, and I actually believe that there actually was one for Hakeem Jeffries, but they were just trying to make it so that she didn't win outright, and then that would have forced it back to the committees, and then the Democrats would have had to choose somebody else, and Hakeem Jeffries was next in line. But none of them, I don't think any of them were expecting that many abstentions, which is what basically made it so that Mike, like I said, I don't think McCarthy was like, oh shit, I wasn't actually prepared to do the shit. I wasn't actually prepared to do the video. My bad, y'all. Like, or do the goddamn event. Like, I just was not about to be Speaker of the House. I didn't think that was gonna happen. You know, it was cool. I just want to have my name in the news, and y'all got to actually give me this shit. I bet Mike McCarthy went back and changed his vote and gave it to Pelosi because he wasn't really trying. Because I don't think he expected that. Like 53 abstentions in president votes, all Democrats,
Like
none Republican.
so with the so why didn't the threshold if there was that many abstentions why was the threshold not way lower?
It
Was
was,
the
but what happened was because Mike McCarthy actually won parliamentary procedure. So parliamentary procedure dictates that when you have to go back and recount the abstentions, because that could mean they're literally not there and they might have came later, or they might have changed their mind and they might vote present. They might, you know how it goes. So normally, like when they're trying to get something they want done, abstentions don't matter. They don't recount abstentions. We all watched the CARES Act vote. We just saw this last week. They don't recount abstentions, but they are all about parliamentary procedure when they didn't get the result that they expected. But so if they didn't recount the abstentions, the threshold would have been closer to like 160, 170, and Mark Pocan destroyed that.
So once they recounted the abstentions, people started voting for Pelosi.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you.
So, but that's what I'm saying. But instead of going, I would have walked right up to Nancy Pelosi like, seems like you're in a dilly of a pickle, doesn't it? This should have been a plan put together before you even walked into the goddamn Congress.
That's why I don't get why they're willing to punch you in the face a million times to the Sunday, but you're not even willing to deal her 1 day of embarrassment.
1 day. They did. No, they did.
1 day.
They gave her like 30 minutes of embarrassment. Is that enough?
Oh man, like we are so weak. It's it's so frustrating. Like,
You
I,
know, my two
oh.
biggest problems with what's happening today is I'm jealous, Justin. I'm jealous that the left won't do this shit. I was there this weekend. We had there
We
fighting
won't do nothing,
$3
man.
billion sign, bro. It was like 50 of us per event. I'm proud I was there, bro. But
hey, man, I was like, if it was the beginning of this week, man, I would have flown out and been right out there with y'all.
I know you
I was
would have.
like,
I know you. I was
oh,
actually telling
because
people that. I was
Sunday, the
like,
last
man,
day.
people
Like,
were
I
asking
gotta work.
if you're gonna be here because
Can't get fired.
I was the only black man, like the only black guy speaking. So they were like, oh man, hey black man, you know the other football playing black man, where's he at? You know, where's he at? And I was like, oh man, he's probably like playing football and shit. That's a part-time job over the weekend and shit. You know what I'm saying? So like
Over the weekends, yeah.
but I know you would have been there. I saw you was at the town hall and I mean shit. You like I said, you set it off, dog. You set off a domino effect, and I find it funny because I felt like when we first talked, I was like, bro, I don't know. I don't know because we had like 3,000 followers at that point on Twitter.
Yeah. Oh,
You was
man.
like
Not
relatively, just behind the scenes. You used to watch everybody shit. You retweet a lot, but you didn't really give your opinion out like that. I remember after our first conversation, I'm like, man, bro, I feel like you might end up just setting some shit off by accident if you keep this shit up. And then look
what happened.
Look
Look what
I didn't
happened,
think it's
man.
gonna go like that though. I didn't think it's gonna be
Me
the
neither.
giant AOC. Like you were the dog. You were the catalyst to the fraud squad, bro. You're the catalyst of the fraud squad. Tweet.
I know. I saw that trending. I was like, damn.
in the fraud squad.
Going in.
Justin Jackson near attending in the fraud squad. I mean, shit. I'm jealous. Actually,
I was near attending too. That's right. That's right. And look, let me talk about that real quick, because I know there's a lot of people that genuinely believe that the fraud squad. And here's my appeal to, even if you don't believe it, even if you give the best reading of the squad, and they're good with their intentions and they're genuinely trying to make change and et cetera, okay. If they go to DC and they think that just getting a pay-go exemption, just getting a pay-go exemption for their vote and a obscure committee seat, which may or may not have any consequential, ends, and they're going to try and work for decades and decades within the Democratic Party to make changes here and there, and they think they're never going to have to actually fight the corporatists, then what's the difference? At the end of the day, what's the difference? Nothing's going to get done. So look, whatever names they're being called or whatever, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. What matters is there are real people that are hurting, and we put them in Congress to fight for us. Yep. And they're not even willing to say anything about who they're not. She'll go. AOC and some of the other squad members will go on, some podcasts and speaking events that no one's barely covering, and talk about we can't even get a vote on Medicare for all on the floor. But she's not willing to tweet that out to her 11 million followers. She's not willing to go to have a press conference in front of the Capitol building and say, look, I know the Republicans are bad. They're heinous. But guess what? We had the House majority for 2 years, and we couldn't even get a vote on a bill that would give you health care right now.
One tweet, Justin.
If you're not willing to do that, then I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, because you're never going to.
All it took. One tweet. All you would have had to say, you won't have to do much, bro. Like, even if you wasn't going to force the vote, because we wouldn't have known until you hit the floor. Like, you could have tweeted, Joe Biden doesn't support Medicare for all. Prove me wrong. Force the vote. Hashtag. That's all it would have took. The whole goddamn left would have been out on that. Because all of a sudden, now Sam City, they love riding AOC. So that's what it is. People don't realize, because Bernie's obviously older, he ain't gonna run again. Like, they're relying on AOC's brand for 2024, and they're hedging their bets between AOC and Nina. And they're gonna likely, if it's Nina versus AOC, well, Nina's a black woman, so she's gonna be thrown under the bus. That's exactly what they're gonna do to her. They're gonna be like, well, Nina should just sit out. Nina should just support AOC. Like, why do y'all think y'all don't pay attention to shit? I guess because I was on Toasted Surrogate, so I was seeing shit from a whole different perspective. See, you don't realize that AOC never defended Nina Turner, even against Jason Johnson, who literally called her a misfit black woman, her and Bree. People don't remember. AOC never defended Bree, even though she was being thrown on the butt. Obviously, AOC didn't defend Tulsi, but like a lot of people thought that, it's just because of the, they maybe just don't like each other. No. Tulsi had zero animosity. She didn't even know that AOC didn't like her, because AOC kissed her ass and ran on her platform until Tulsi announced she was running for president. That's literally what happened. there were entire websites dedicated to all the people running on the All Fossil Fuels Act. AOC, Tim Canova, Paula Jean, the first time she ran, every Justice Democrat, all of them ran onto, and then AOC just all of a sudden didn't like her anymore. Oh, I wonder why that is. It's probably because she didn't maybe want Tulsi to be the youngest president, be the first female, be the first woman of color. Same thing with Nina. They stand in her way of her 2024 run, and Ilhan Omar obviously doesn't present that threat to her. Neither does Rashida Tlaib, but not because she's an American citizen, but she's just not as popular as AOC is at the moment. Ayanna Pressley is basically just a Black Warren. Like, they're the only people that could stand in her way of her particular goals are the alum from 2016 that were loyal and have the history and the clout and the experience and would absolutely get Bernie's endorsement over AOC if they had ran in the 2024 race. Like if Tulsi never ran in 2020, ran in 2024, that it would be really a competition between Tulsi and Nina. And so Bernie would just stay out until one of them dropped out. AOC knows this. She's not stupid. So she's like, I'm gonna hedge my bets. I'm gonna kiss Warren's ass for 10 months. I'm gonna let Nina and Tulsi and anyone who supports them get thrown under the bus. And I'm gonna shut up and kiss Pelosi's ass and pretend like every problem's Republicans' problem. And people fell for it.
That's the most upsetting thing to me, is that she's very, very willing to go after Republicans. Great, all good and fine. They need to be, that they deserve to be gone after. But if you're not, like, you defeated one of the top House members in the Democratic Party, and who was groomed by who? Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, all these top Democrats. So if you think you're going to get in there and not have to fight those same people, that's ignorant. Yeah. And so now I feel like I try, this is just me. This is how I operate. I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. I do, even if they don't deserve it. But
you're consistent on that. Times. You're consistent on that, though. You were everybody else was attacking Tulsi. I remember you're like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, she's on our team. Yeah, so you're consistent on that.
And that's the thing that pisses me off so much. It's like, and like I said earlier, I thought on the left we were about fighting for policies, putting egos aside, and pushing the buck forward to help people who need the help, who don't have a voice. That's the ethos of our movement, as I thought. So why aren't we saying, Tulsi, the All Fossil Fuels Act is fucking great. Let's try and push this forward. No, because what they let happen is they let those narratives that the mainstream media creates creep in. Yeah. Because AOC was, even in 2019, as late as 2019, AOC was saying the Democratic Party won't do anything unless it's pushed, all these type of things. Then once Bernie dropped out and the narrative became, oh, if you're not for Biden, then you're for Trump, or blah, 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 all that stopped.
What do you think about her trying to pretend as if she was asked about Tara Reid on an NPR interview? She said, well, Tara Reid never said she was going to not vote for Biden. And actually, Tara Reid actually said that very explicitly. AOC tried to lie and say, because they were trying to figure out, like, hold up, you were talking about don't even give Kavanaugh a due process, like he just can't be there. But when it happens to Biden, it was much more credible, actually. Like the facts were just stacking against him so much that the media finally had to acknowledge it and just try to take her down. So they asked her, well, what's the difference? Well, Tara Reid didn't say that she wasn't going to vote for Biden. That's what AOC said, bro. That's what she said. I covered an article, linked the NPR interview and everything, bro. I couldn't believe. I was like, oh, she a different type of path, bro. That's different.
And how Tara Reid was just, kind of unanimously given, the stiff arm by the establishment, right? And smeared and just all type of horrible things said. But like you said, when it was Kavanaugh, or when there's some of these other people, when it was even Al Franken, right? Like, they were very, very, very quick to get on that. And to get on them for
Conyers, who for his problems, he was one of the most progressive which I believe that was it. So he reintroduced.
He had the single payer bill in the 90s,
exactly.
Right?
He rewrote that, reintroduced it, and reintroduced the reparations bill. And was following through on everything. And they were like, oh, he's gonna be a little bit of a problem for us. Let's go ahead and Me Too this motherfucker before he gets out of hand. And that's basically what it seemed like happened. Because Eric, I thought that they would have
at least know about that.
Conyers. They like I was, and it was like,
when was this? 2000s,
bro? No.
2010s.
No. This is like 2017, 2018.
Conyers. I didn't know he was still in Congress.
Election for his. I think Rashida's occupying his seat because they had to have a special election for his.
I did not know that.
Yes, sir. And he was that.
I didn't know he was still.
So Jayapal's bill, her Medicare for All bill, is mostly Conyers.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. And that HR 40, the reparations bill, is also Conyers. And I'm sure that he was probably, and he, like I said, he was working with progressives to fight for it a little bit harder and at the worst possible time, because now that becomes once again publicized in a way that they can't co-opt, because they started talking about reparations. Now imagine how ugly that shit would have got if Conyers was like, Kamala, you're not for reparations. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, and this is what
you haven't sponsored my bill, right?
Yeah, no. Imagine if there couldn't have been a co-option of Medicare for All, because that's what people would have figured out. That bill in the House was Conyers. It was originally Conyers' name on it, not Jayapal. They associate Jayapal with Bernie, but Conyers is old, like has been in the game for a long time.
Wow. Yeah,
and people would be like, Bernie, how come you never mentioned Conyers' name? If Medicare for All, he was the one who wrote this one. Obviously, John, excuse me. Oh, what's his name? He's gonna be. Everybody, I know Miles about to be mad as hell at me. Mike Gravel, him and Mike Gravel ran in the Democratic Party in the 2000s together against Obama and them. I cannot remember his goddamn name.
I don't know his. I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich. Good guy. I'm so
glad. Dennis Kucinich.
Yes, Dennis Kucinich, and introduced that bill too. And so now it gets to why this goes back to Bernie. Bernie has this really bad habit of co-opting other people's messages and never giving them credit. And then anyone who decides that he feels like he built up and they decide to just do their own thing, like not even attack him, uplift him the entire time. Like if they do their own thing and it stands in his way in his ambition, what it looks like at this point is that they got to go. We're going to ignore them. We're going to pretend like they don't exist. We got to throw them under the bus, because the fact that you didn't coalesce with Yang and Tulsi and Marianne Williamson, when you saw the establishment do the exact same thing, what could have possibly possessed you to not work with them? They were all broke. They were all wanting to work with them.
And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, you got to try and get those Warren supporters too.
That's true.
I know what she did, but you got to, because at the end of the day, even if Kamala went after Joe, look what happened. They're VP and president. Like, this is what they're willing to do that we aren't.
Yep. And
they're willing, the establishment's willing to coalesce. Even despite all their differences.
Yang came out and said Bernie never asked.
And that's a travesty. That's what it is.
It is,
because we needed every single voter, every single one,
and they were what
we were trying to do.
And he was already in a weird place with the Yang gang, and all it would have taken is him calling Andrew Yang and asking for his endorsement. If Yang would have said, "Get out there, mobilize for Bernie," they would have did it. Even Tulsi supporters, and a lot of us were pissed at Bernie after he threw her under the bus time and time again. Because Tulsi did try to endorse him. That's the part that also people don't know. Did try to endorse him. What ended up happening was. Yeah. It was revealed later on that Bernie had quit weeks before. He said it. He had already built the coalition with Joe. He said, he's in a race to help that Wisconsin judge win, who ended up ultimately losing anyway. So he let Tulsi get fucking fried. Let him get, you endorsed Joe Biden over Bernie? And he was like, and she said on Jimmy's show, obviously, once again, because Tulsi is fucking Tulsi, he doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus ever. Right. Like, she didn't want to say what the conversation was about, but after everything came out, okay, that's what happened. And she don't want to throw him under the bus because that's not who she is. She's very forgiving. But like for me, I was like, oh wow. So no, I was like, I mean, I didn't want to say it like it was fuck Bernie, but like, if you can do your friends like that, bro. If you can do your friends like that, the ones who's damn near sacrificed their career, who's getting shit right now because of your campaign that she joined in 2016. Bro, I know I don't mean shit to you. You'll throw me under the bus in a second. And then of course, now we get full circle. That you just passed a bill, voted to pass a bill that gave us crumbs without reading it.
Crumbs. And it's like how many times
what am I supposed to think, Justin? I don't know. What am I? Because you nicer than me. What am I supposed to think about that?
I'm wondering how many times we're gonna allow them to put this ultimatum in your face, and you just go along with it. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're gonna give people crumbs, but we have to pass it because it's something. Yeah. What? Like how many? It happened with the CARES Act. It happened with this bill. It's gonna happen with the next fucking bill and the one after that until you step up and do something about it.
If we keep getting crumbs, Justin, eventually we'll have a loaf of bread. That's the idea.
Yeah, in 2200, when the whole entire country is freaking collapsed from capitalism.
Bruh, I don't even know at this point. Like my thing is, so at the end of the day, like what's happening in Capitol Hill right now, for me, I can't bring myself to be upset largely for the same reason that I'm not upset when protesters, for the last 3 months was wilding out, if they were damaging buildings, because their government and their system and these institutions have failed them. It is never the areas of disagreement that I have with maybe some of the people that are at Stop It Still. That's because they were victims of propaganda, largely pushed by one or the other side of the government, like that. And when I sit one-on-one with anybody, I don't give a damn who they are. If they're genuine, and a lot of people are more genuine than most would think, we bridge that gap within a couple of hours. We knock a couple beers back. We're friends. They figured out they've been propagandized, might even teach me something new, and we realize it's those motherfuckers that were lying. Right? Mm-hmm. That's how I feel right now. If we had to, you think people would be storming if they had something to lose right now? You think those people would be storming if they got $2,000 checks every month?
No. That's what I'm saying. Ain't nobody there.
Transparency, bro. I don't know if Trump got robbed. I really don't know. I genuinely do not know. We'll never know, actually, because there's zero transparency. If there was transparency, this wouldn't be a thing. That's what people are not getting. It's not that.
And the primary. I mean, it happens in the primaries. We know it happens in the primaries. So why would we? You know what I mean? Like you can't
too many facts.
Say, oh, in here we know that there's definitely fraud happening. I mean, we saw it happen with the Iowa and the app and everything. Happened again, right? So when you don't stop it, when you don't actually fight back against it, you say, oh, whatever, we'll get them next time. Well, guess what? They're gonna screw you next time once again because they have the power and there's no repercussions. That's what happens when there's no consequences for an action. It happens again.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you black. Maybe you should get your ass whipped when you was a kid too. Whenever I did something that wasn't supposed to do, my mom whipped my ass, and I was thinking every time I'm about to do it again, I really don't want my mom to whip my ass. That shit hurt. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's like you gotta at least show consequences for your. Like that's why even Trump was very smart because he knew, like, man, if I pass this, because if they didn't read it, goddamn well Trump didn't read that bill, and he was like, so Republicans and these Democrats just try to slide this shit across my desk like this, like, and then blame me. Oh hell no! So here what I'm about to do. I'm about to tell everybody in the world what the fuck is in this bill. Like, and
the funny thing is, they said most of, especially the shit that was in the appropriations bill, he had argued for. Oh, it's like, bruh. Like this is the country we live in, bro.
But I don't know how true that is, because if we think about it, he actually came out and said, "Hey Pelosi, give me a stimulus check bill right now. Just that, I'll sign it right the fuck now. Let's go. Let's do it."
Yeah, he did.
Remember, multiple times. That. Okay, so at that point, why wasn't the independent leftist media saying, "AOC, Bernie, what are y'all doing? Tell Pelosi to go do this shit right now." Hey, what they do? Mitch McConnell is stopping us from Mitch McConnell. I'm like, hold up. I've been looking at these articles, and there's a lot of what's the motherfucker's name? There's a lot of Joe Manchin stuff. And why his face keep popping up as being one of the leaders on this bill? Because he's a Democrat. So how's Mitch McConnell? And why isn't he doing anything? And why aren't y'all saying, y'all kidding? You're trying to tell me, bro, like Joe Manchin is one of the most Republican Democrats that you could possibly have. That man almost always goes to the Republican Party over. You can't even say Joe Manchin's name, Justin.
Bernie too. Bernie too.
It's just what I'm saying, bro. You can't say Joe Manchin.
None of them. None of them will say it.
Joe Manchin. So if you can't say Joe Manchin name when it's time to hold him accountable, I know you ain't about to say.
You won't say anybody. You're not gonna
I
say
know you're not,
anybody.
because Joe Manchin ain't got that much power. So at this point, it's time to organize it. And
We
like
have
I
to,
said,
man.
I appreciate you really using your platform and saying, you know what, like we ain't got time for this bullshit. Like,
We
and
don't, man.
the story that you
We
told about your
don't.
mom, bro, I was crying, bro. I was crying. I was like, this some shit. This some shit. Like it, and it
It's
unfortunately it takes stories like that, like it takes experiences like that and trauma like that
it does.
for some people to get it. Like they don't get it because these people are their families got money, their families got health care. It might be a little bit more expensive, but it always does a job for them. And even if it is a little bit more expensive, they have enough money from literally generational savings to take care of
Mhm.
the extreme shit. Like, and then when they finally don't have it, then they'll all of a sudden begin to care. Like, but your story
And-
and like I got I have similar stories, not just like that with healthcare. I mean, yeah, actually, I had ADHD when I was a kid to the point where it was I had extreme. I used to get tempers out of nowhere. I would snap. I got held back in the 7th grade for fighting. My mom had to lie to me. So I got tested for ADHD and it turned out it was correct. My mom had to lie to me. So because we couldn't afford the medication, she never told me.
Wow, that's wow.
And she didn't tell me until I got diagnosed
That's
in
nuts.
college. Like, and my doctor was like, I don't know how you got through high school and middle school. But I was like, I got held back in this. I got kicked out of my AG program because I got held back. I got, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had, like I said, but I don't know how different things would have been, but my testing would have been different. Not that I had trouble. I was a decent tester, but there were a lot of 100s I could have had instead of 93s if I would have had the correct medication. Maybe I would have had a 2100 on my SATs instead of an 1800 on my SATs. You know, little things like that. Maybe I wouldn't have gotten held back in the 7th grade, but because we didn't have
It
health care,
affects your whole life, man.
bruh, I'm
It
telling you.
affects your whole life. It does.
It's
And it
crazy, man. Like, and but it shouldn't take that just
it shouldn't.
want to fight for people to have health care, like just or damn election integrity, like or to end this military industrial complex. Every single one of these fights is worth saying forced to vote on, and that's what people are not
Every
getting it.
single one.
Every single one of
Every
them,
single one.
and yet
It's worth it, man.
the moment that and we got these people, same people once again, same people attacking forced to vote, cheering because we got now have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. For what the hell you cheering for? You're not going to force them to vote for shit. What you cheering about? Well, you know,
It's like it's like
I look
two
good
weeks
in
ago they were saying, well, we don't have, there's Mitch McConnell, and then there's blue dog Democrats and also, but now that we have all branches of government, those same barriers are still in place.
it's worse
Replace Mitch
now.
McConnell with Joe Manchin, and it's almost even worse now because you actually can get all that stuff done. You have the power within your caucus to get all that stuff done, and it's probably not going to get done. That's almost even more insidious.
Yeah,
It's like you're
94.
dangling in front of someone's face, but you won't give it to them.
Was it 94 Democrats in the Progressive Caucus, and y'all can't get one floor vote for Medicare for all.
And that's what I said to AOC, because don't respond to me with a co-sponsorship list of over half of your caucus and then tell me y'all can't use all the people in that to get one floor vote. Don't tell me that. That doesn't make any sense. So don't tell
No!
me that bullshit.
You want to hear
I don't
some
think
shit really gonna
it's
piss you off?
bullshit. I don't appreciate that.
You want to hear some shit really gonna piss you off? Because see, this is the thing. I be thinking about this all day. Because I just be like, I like making myself mad for at random points of the day. You know, what's really gonna piss you off is we have to vote for impeachment, even though it's going to fail and possibly make him the most popular president in history once it does fail, because it's the principle. We know we don't have the numbers. Okay, we know we don't have the numbers, but we have to put our foot down. Some things are bigger than numbers, and
I remember that.
Oh, interesting. So what about?
So what about now?
Well, no.
It's the principle
Co-sponsors are basically the same thing as votes.
Knowing that that's bullshit. Knowing that in this past presidential primary cycle, there were people in the Senate who co-sponsored the bill and then came out with bills that were not even close to Medicare for all.
Yep.
So I don't like being gaslit. I really don't. And I'm smart enough, and a lot of people are smart enough to see through that shit, okay? Yeah. So don't do that to me again. Be straight up. If you are saying you don't want to,
bro, she did it to you about 150 times since that tweet. What you mean? That's a daily thing for her. I would never want to be her boyfriend, bro. She's like, I feel like she's so manipulative. I would be terrified. Whoever, I think there's like white redhead kid. I'm like, man, dog, I wish you luck, dog. Cause that is so she tweeted out a picture the night that they voted for Pelosi of how it's, how it started, how it's going. So it was like talking about the squad, right? So how it started, it was just her in the I think the White House at that, in the Oval Office, if I'm not mistaken. And then it's like how it's going, and there's a picture of the entire squad. So the problem with that is you weren't even the first one actually elected. It was Rashida. She was the first one because they didn't have a Republican to beat her. There was no one running. So she was actually the first one. There's that. You're not the only one in the squad. Okay. So there's that. But you're not the only one. Like, you weren't there. It didn't just start with you. But she literally posts this damn picture. And then, of course, in the other side of the picture, once again, is the entire squad, but with her sitting next to Cori Bush, the woman she refused to endorse.
This is something that I've been thinking about. And I really wish these political figures and politicians who have the power in their hands to save people's lives or choose not to stop going on Twitter and doing these trends and doing these photos and all this shit, okay? Do they understand how much suffering and pain is in the country right now? Like, that shit looks bad. It looks bad. It looks like you're not feeling that, or you're just, I don't know. Like, this, that's why it's the bubble. It's the DC bubble. It is the celebritician. Like, that's a real thing. Like, there are people who are going to lose their houses even if they get 2K. There's people 4, 5, 6, 7 months behind on rent in this country.
Even with the
there's a lot of hurt.
Even in AOC's own fucking city, there's a moratorium. Like, Trump, one of the few good things he did, he's using executive order to have a moratorium until January. So why are people still getting evicted in New York? And why the fuck are you not out there standing in front of their goddamn houses using your power as a congresswoman to make sure that shit doesn't happen? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Listen, like, all that shit people want to talk about Tulsi, I bet you motherfucking money if anybody, one person in Hawaii was getting evicted during a moratorium, she is in Hawaii. I've seen her literally get someone a work visa within a day's notice, and now that woman is also the like featherweight champion of UFC. But that's what you should be doing with your power. Like, fine, if y'all don't get it done, I'll get the shit done myself. And that's not what we're seeing.
And they have the power to do that. And the thing about AOC that makes her so special is that she has this crossover appeal with a lot of the liberals who don't like Bernie.
Yeah.
She actually can reach those people. And that makes her a powerful tool to bring more people into our coalition.
But so it's because of her disingenuous nature, though. That's the problem. It's the disingenuous nature she goes about her politics that makes her popular with neoliberals that hate Bernie. The moment that she becomes more genuine, well, then you can see what happened with Bree, right? Neoliberals have always hated Bree, but like maybe some left, like some liberal, but kind of left-leaning people like Bree, the moment she said, oh yeah, we got to force the vote. AOC got to be held accountable. Bernie got to be held accountable. We got to force his vote. Oh, whoa, Bree's an Uncle Tom, actually, who uplifts white supremacists. Anna Gasparian tried to attack Bree for not defending her against Jimmy. Like, her, first of all, her and Anna are not friends like that. Second of all, Anna has literally never defended Bree. Never.
Do they even like?
No, nothing. They're not friends. They're not friends. And she's never defended Bree. That's what makes it horrible. Like, Bree never talked shit about Anna, but Bree has been, just maligned.
Oh man, so bad.
And you got Ben, you know why? Because Ben Dixon on TYT, and I don't want no animosity between the two. And like, but you couldn't just say, hey man, this is uncalled for. Like, this is unnecessary. Bree's on our team.
Yeah.
You know, we might disagree on this issue. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how I feel about Jimmy. Bree is not Jimmy.
Right. You know, Bree is like the nicest, most
super polite, nice. Like, they seem to have killed that Bree. That Bree seems to be buried somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Bree's going hard now, and I love it. I mean, as she should. Like, she's getting smeared left and right. Like, what?
But she never. I don't think she ever expected.
Someone with her characters.
I don't think she ever expected to what I saw it coming, bro. Like, They were using her brand. Like they were using her. She's a black woman, so things she says carries enough weight because there's only allowed to be like 3 progressive black women that are popular at once. That's not, you can't have any more than that. There's a threshold, and she just happened to hit a level of popularity that like no one I don't think expected. Like I kind of expected it because I'm like, yeah, she's really good at this shit, and
Really
she knows
good.
how to
She's
play
unbelievable.
she knows how to stay in the good graces of a lot of people at the same time. I'm like, it can only last for so long because she's also principled. I mean, the first thing she does out the campaign is, hey man, I know I was with Bernie, but fuck Joe Biden. I ain't voting for him. Like that's the first thing she does. So I'm like, uh-oh, I know where this is headed. And when the thing, once again, black woman speaks with that type of platform, just like with Nina Turner, everybody starts listening. It becomes national news. So now everybody knows Bree's principle. So what do?
Mm-hmm.
You attack her character because if Bree's principle and she's saying this, we can't. If either we get exposed because that's what will happen, or we shut her down without ever talking about the actual fucking issue. We'll associate her with Jimmy. We'll associate her with white supremacists.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call her Uncle Tom. We'll say, oh, I can't believe you're speaking at this event with Niko House. I can't believe you're. And we will never actually address her stance on Medicare for all that she's been advocating for forever. We'll never address any of that. We're just going to assassinate her character because we know we can't because it's a black woman.
Mm-hmm. But it's all protect black women, right?
Right. Exactly.
Except that one. That one.
I tell people all the time, bro, if it would have been Nina to run against Bernie instead of Tulsi this time around, she would have got worse than Tulsi. They would have. Oh yeah. God. Oh, can you imagine?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Participate in democracy.
He made you. You turn your back on him after everything he did for you. That's exactly how that. That's how that. Like after Bernie threw Bree under the bus, nothing. Bro, that for me would have been that actually for me, as far as Bernie's character was concerned, whenever they were like, what do you think about Bree and what she said? Oh, she said, well, I'm not personally voting for Joe Biden. I don't support him. Like, look, oh, she's not part of this campaign anymore. She's not on the payroll anymore. What? Not even, hey, she used to work for us and we have respect, we respect each other on our differences. I still appreciate what she did for our campaign. Huge nothing. Just throw her under the fucking bus. Are you kidding me, bro? That's what we do to the black women after they disagree with you. That's what happens. Like after, I remember, hell, you damn near threw Nina under the bus on reparations until you finally got some sense. It was like, bro, he's like, I guess I'll sign it if it gets across my desk. That's where you finally got to. But you had Nina out here like by herself advocating for that shit on your campaign as a co-chair. Like, and his excuse was, I got a better plan.
And with the task forces afterwards, they wouldn't let Nina on.
And you still exactly. Or Bree.
They wouldn't let her on. Or Bree, right? They just said no. We're not letting them anywhere near because they speak too much truth. Though they speak unfiltered truth, and that's dangerous. And like I said, dangerous. So
we talked about this briefly on off camera, but like at the Force to Vote rally, even though it was created by Jackson Hinkle. Shout out to Jackson. Either by on purpose or on accident. The whole event, the featured speakers were almost all either black, they were either women of color, and it was mostly women. And instead of like uplifting these people, like, wow, like, bro, I've been a progressive for so long, bro, I've been a leftist. I've never been at an event like that where the featured speakers were almost all black. And for an issue that wasn't specifically, because the only time we get called is whenever white progressives want to put us up front so that we can defend black issues that they agree with, so they can get oh my God, look at you being so nice and giving this black person a platform. That's so sweet of you. I'm gonna follow you though instead, because you're a really nice white person that gives black people platforms that makes me feel all good inside. Like, nah, Jackson was like, y'all got it. Here you go. This issue affects y'all community more than anybody else. Take the fucking floor. This is y'all. Are you? And that's the event y'all want to attack? That's crazy. That's crazy. So y'all
all of a sudden we don't like protesting for healthcare. No.
I want to talk about Jimmy attacking women. Oh my God, he's so sexist. He's attacking women. I'm like, y'all just spent the whole weekend smearing people, smearing black people, smearing women, smearing black women, smearing Latino women, because y'all didn't want to force people to vote for healthcare. Like, if y'all was GOP, everybody, y'all be calling yourselves racist. I mean, it turned out that TYT apparently actually is racist, but that's a different conversation. With that being said, man, I'm gonna let you go ahead and get up out of here, bro. As usual, I appreciate the conversation. Let everybody know what they
Thanks for having me on, bro.
Of course, man. Of course. Hey, hold up real quick. What happened? You was out the rally just getting your record on. You was pulling your independent journalists out there. What happened up there in LA?
I got some videos. Oh, the crazy. Oh, I'm glad you brought it up. The craziest shit I saw. Okay, so the Trump supporters, there was about 150, maybe 100 of them. They were like standing on the lawn of the city hall. Across the street, like if you walked across the street right here, there was like maybe 10 BLM looking type agitators, where that's where all the cops were right there. And then all the Trump supporters over here, no cops there at all. And then there was these cops driving by. There were these cops driving by in like military style, almost brigade. Like there was like a truck and there was like 10 cops on the back of the truck. They were driving by the Trump supporters. I shit you not. They waved at them.
Yeah.
They were
you
waving at them, and the Trump supporters were like, "Woo, woo."
Bro.
I was like,
here. So I think we're on the road.
This is America.
The cops, there's a video of the cops in DC opening the gate to let the Trump supporters into Capitol Hill, bro. I swear to God. I watched it. They said,
send that to me.
And everybody's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this! I'm so surprised." I'm like, I don't know why I was surprised. They were Trump. The cops were Trump supporters 2 weeks ago. You thought today was gonna be the day they changed their mind?
Right.
And I will say this: like, I was ready. Like, I was in Philadelphia, man, and it was crazy out there. Thousands and thousands of protesters in 20,000. There was fleet of cops. The fence was stormed, bro. It got wild in that bitch because that day, because we knew he got cheated. Everybody knew that day. Everybody was ready to go to the mat. They would have stormed whatever damn building that they needed to have democracy that day and put Bernie in office and make sure people's vote counted. Bernie told people to stand down, and that's exactly what the movement did from 2016 all the way until 2021. That's exactly what we're seeing. Trump, for better or for worse, told his people to stand up, and they're doing the same thing. A lot of Bernie supporters would be doing, albeit for maybe slightly different reasons. But like, bro, you're supposed to be the organizer in chief. We could have had.
He said it was gonna have a revolution.
That like, I'm like, y'all
revolutions are super nice.
This is looking kind of closer to a revolution than what the hell Bernie was talking about, right? And Trump is calling out the Republicans who aren't acting right by his standards. He's obviously still calling the Democrats, like, but at the end of the day. My thing is, if Bernie would have fought as hard for us as if we fought for him, if he would have said, stand up, like, make sure your voice is heard no matter what. I don't give a damn if it's me or anybody else. Bro, we would have been out there. We would have never had Trump.
Oh,
yeah. We would never be in this situation right now. And that's what people aren't getting yet. Like, that's what we needed. That's it. My main grievance is that, they were saying that violent protesters need to be shot and shit by the cops and all that Blue Lives Matter shit. But that is like a lot of hypocrisy there. But once again, I always saw on the side of the people, for the most part, against these corrupt government institutions. And I would like to see consistency there. But my other thing was, bro, I'm just jealous, dog. I want the left to get out there and get jiggy like that, bro. I'll be about it. I'm ready for the shit.
Hey, look, and this is something else that kind of got me on the force the vote wave, is that I had saw someone tweeted something, and I saw it about how I guess it was all those House Republicans were basically protesting or going to bat for all their supporters, saying, no, this election's fraudulent, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, they're willing to pretty much overthrow the election to please their supporters. And we can't even get our people to oppose Nancy Pelosi for one vote. Bro. There's levels to this, man. Like, we are willing to fight like they are.
We look like bitches.
Like,
God damn.
We're not willing to fight for shit, man. Those people stormed the goddamn Capitol. They don't give up.
like nothing. They like, okay, fine. Y'all want to give us our election? Fine, we'll just take the bitch. We don't care. We'll storm Capitol. 100,000 people, bro. 100,000.
And they're doing that. And they're doing that for a president and a party who won't give them health care, who won't give them shit. And they're doing that for them. Like, we're actually trying to give people stuff that's going to help their lives. Like,
imagine what they would do for a government that would do shit for them. Good God.
Like anything. Like, oh my God.
Good God. I'm glad Trump would have did more for them. There might really be a real revolution. Everybody keep talking about Civil War. I'm like, Civil War with who, bitch? I'm not a cop. I'm not on Capitol Hill. They fighting them. I'm not involved in this shit. Don't be talking about me. They don't care about me, bro. Shit.
Right.
Let me go ahead and get you out. Let everybody know where they can find you at, man.
On Instagram, I'm at JJPrime21, and on Twitter, I'm J_man_prime21. Check me
Awesome,
out.
man. For everybody else, thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of Mikasa Zukasa. And always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.